we got here just in the nick of time. What does that make us?
Big damn heroes, sir.
Ain't we just?
Recently, Redsky responded to my video where I cornered him, showing that the Coriolis effect disproves his model of a geostationary and geocentric Earth. To be fair, I commented on his channel that I had been blocked. I was wrong about that. I'm not blocked at this time, but evidently video responses must be blocked because I couldn't post a video response. Be that as it may, he made several other assertions that I'd like to respond to. These are direct quotes from his PM to me. Malcolm Bowden does not claim to be a PhD, although we do quote people who are. Well, that may be, but his head still comes to a point. The Coriolis effect is caused by the gravitational pull of the mass of the stars as it rotates around us in the ether. This pull is centered on the Earth and not geostationary satellites or any other natural satellites. I hate to break it to you, Redsky, but neither the Coriolis effect nor gravity works that way. Take a look at this. These are the cloud belts of Jupiter. Notice that they are in fact rotating with Coriolis-induced effects caused by the planet's rotation. Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune all exhibit Coriolis-induced cloud structures. Now, if the gravity of the stars only causes the Coriolis effect on the Earth, then you've got the big problem explaining what's causing the Coriolis effect on 3 other planets. It strains credulity to say that the Coriolis effect is being caused by rotation here, but not on the Earth. Now, even if we were to accept your explanation as given, that still leaves you with the insurmountable problem of the geostationary satellites. You can't explain them in a geostationary model unless you're suggesting the gravity doesn't work. Without being able to move in a stable ballistic orbit with 24-hour orbital periods, the satellites would simply fall out of the sky. Even if you can come up with an explanation for those, the explanation would remain incompatible with the satellites in polar orbits. Returning to your explanation, we know for a fact that gravity doesn't work that way. Newton's equations hold true throughout the universe. If what you say is correct, then the moon would not cause the tides. Gravity does not act in one place and not in another. It can't simply reach inside the ring of satellites and leave them untouched. Gravity is universal but weak. Remember this? This is Apollo 11. It carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon. This is the Earthrise and the orbit around the moon. Their journey would only be possible in a Newtonian universe, not in an ether-blown one as you described. In addition, the Apollo astronauts could directly observe the rotation of the Earth both visually and because their ground-based communication stations needed to be switched because they would rotate over the horizon of the Earth. You cannot tell which system we live in by observation alone, as there is no physical significance, just a change in the center of rotation, which is why we rely on the experiments to determine what is true. Wrong again. You can in fact observe by direct observation, and the answer does in fact make a physical difference. Consider GPS. It can guide an airliner down to within 250 feet vertically and 3 meters horizontally of a runway centerline, with several hundred people aboard. This degree of accuracy can only be achieved through the calculations derived from the theory of relativity and would work only if the satellites are moving and the Earth were rotating exactly as understood by that theory. As for direct observation, there are any number of experiments that can be done to show that the Earth is actually revolving, such as Foucault's pendulum, the precession of mechanical gyroscopes in response to the Earth's rotation, and compare them to the plumb bob, the spirit level, which do not, once again disproving the existence of the ether. How about this? This is the Earth rotating, photographed by Galileo as it passed the Earth on its way to Jupiter. These photos cannot be explained in a geostationary model you propose, and its flight path would not even have been possible in a geocentric model. In addition, spacecraft heading to the outer planets have been able to observe the Earth passing behind the Sun, while the inner planets of Mercury and Venus remained visible on the near side, an impossibility in a geocentric model. Then there's the flight path of the Messenger mission to Mercury. It's utterly impossible in a geocentric solar system. Then there's these beautiful machines, Voyager 1 and 2. Leaving the Earth in the 1970s, they're still out there, delivering observations about the outermost regions of the solar system. They've been in flight for over 12,000 days, observing with infinite patience of a machine. A few years ago, Voyager 1 took this family portrait, capturing all the planets as they orbit the Sun. This photo is direct photographic evidence that the Earth does in fact go around the Sun. Disregarding that the entire flight would be impossible in a geostationary or geostatic model, from this vantage point we can see that the Earth does in fact go around the Sun. If your model was correct, Voyager would be able to see the Sun shifting against the galactic background as it whipped around the Earth once every 24 hours, and it should also be able to observe the epicycles that supposedly explain retrograde motion. But in fact, Voyager sees none of these things, but can and does see the Earth moving about the Sun. How do we know this? Well, first there's the photographic evidence, of course. Voyager tracks the Earth closely in order to be able to point its communication antenna homeward and talk to us. Then there's the Doppler shift in the radio transmissions to and from Voyager. In fact, the mission was nearly lost because Voyager 2 lost the ability to track these shifts early on. Now, if you care to say this is all very well, but the ether is still causing it, I think you should know that Voyager crushes the very idea that the ether is rotating around the Earth. You see, in 2006, Voyager 1 was 100 astronomical units away from the Earth. At that distance, the ether would have to be carrying Voyager along at 3.62 times the speed of light in order for it to revolve around the Earth once every 24 hours, as proposed by your model. This, of course, is utterly and completely impossible. This is the end of the road. There's no way to call on Einstein to save you at this point. Your theory's just been sent to the dustbin by a 12,000-day-old robot.
If I'm your mission, Shepard, best keep it up. You're welcome on my boat. God ain't.